Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today it's another one of my Rate My Shoe Collection videos where one of you guys, and in this case it's Petru, has written to me and sent me some wonderful images of his spectacular footwear collection for us to enjoy, to be inspired by, but also for us to perhaps make some observations where he might add to the collection. What comes next for him in the journey? Now, I'm just going to set the scene because Petru has very thoughtfully sent us a little bit of information about his shoe journey. And basically what he says here is that because of a rather unusual sensitive skin situation which he has with his feet, he can only wear soft leather. Otherwise he gets blistering and suffers in pain when he's on his feet all day. So he set off on his journey looking for well-crafted, good quality footwear, and he certainly gained himself a collection of that. Most all of his collection, he says, have been purchased second-hand from eBay and other venues at a fraction of their original price. Now, what can I say? That is the way to go when it comes to building a quality shoe collection until you find perhaps the brand that you want to stick with, and then you can invest with them in confidence. Or if you want to just, use a scattergun effect and own a variety of shoes from different brands, maybe going down the pre-owned route is a good way to do it at a financially approachable point. And he tells us that he sets himself a budget of a maximum of €200 because he's from Austria, euro. Okay, so he tells us a little bit about himself. He's 35, works in hospital administration, where he says the dress code is not very formal at all. He tries not to overdress, as his immediate boss and his colleagues are not into the chap way of dressing, so that's code word for, perhaps being less sartorially advanced than others. He tends to wear chinos, a casual shirt, a safari jacket, and loves his wristwatches. He's got a Sin 104 model, good choice. And yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about him. So let us have a look at what he has. He's got quite a few pairs of shoes, so I'm going to go through these in a smarter fashion as I can for us. And let's start where it all begins for gentlemen, and that is a black cap toe Oxford. And Petru has gone down the route which many people seeking a black cap toe Oxford should actually do, and that's buy a high quality shoe that's going to probably last a lifetime. He's gone for a pair of Crockett & Jones Audley models on the last 348. If you were to buy this shoe today at full retail price, it would be £740. Sounds expensive, but let's not forget Crockett & Jones, been around since 1880. I would say it's probably the standout brand in Northampton, unless you get into the very higher tier stuff like Edward Green. But Crockett & Jones, really good quality shoes. This black cap to Oxford, it's as pretty basic and standard as they come. So it's the uniform of the incredibly intentionally well-dressed man. This is from their sort of standard collection, their hand grade collection as they call it, which means they put a bit more effort into it. Black calf leather, bark tanned single leather soles. It's a superb shoe, ideal for your weddings, your funeral, your court appearance, stuff like that. Got it nailed. Said enough about that one, let's move on. We're moving on to a shoe which I really like the look of. As you can gather, I'm in the outdoors, I'm a country guy, with leanings towards the town as well, but this shoe ticks the boxes for me, and it's the Trickers Borton shoe. It's in their acorn antique colour, which is the classic colour for the Borton. If you were to buy this shoe from Trickers, it would be £565, although I'll be honest, I was looking at their site earlier today. There's loads of special offers on and deals at the moment. They're down to around about 350 if you're looking for, they make this shoe in a huge variety of materials, from Kurdu leather to, everything, you name it, in all sorts of different colours. There's some fantastic deals to be struck actually with Trickers at the moment. Now what we get with the Borton is quite a heavy duty, what I would call a country derby shoe, derby relating to the style of lacing. It's rugged, it is bold, it's got somewhat larger than normal broguing holes you will notice on the front of the shoe, on the toe cap. When I see this shoe, I know immediately it's a tricker. I know immediately that the wearer appreciates footwear, because you don't trip over trickers as you go through life. You've got to go looking for them. They're a classy, elegant, incredibly well-made shoe, probably the most robustly made shoe that you can buy in Northampton. I say this with knowledge. I own pairs of these shoes. I have had a factory tour of Trickers itself. I've seen these shoes being made. They are classic and fabulous. A solid unit. You can have them with a variety of different soles, from leather soles to commando soles to day-night soles. You name it, you've got something that can fit your lifestyle. Whether you're a city gentleman, they do a magnificent museum calf in a burgundy, which looks awesome, or your country, classic country, this is the acorn colour, the antique acorn. Can't fault that. Excellent choice. You could wear, this is a zombie apocalypse shoe if you needed to grab a pair that's gonna, you know, stomp your way out of problems. Moving on, a little bit different this time, a derby shoe, derby lacing, but it's the Crockett & Jones Ashdown shoe. It's a plain fronted derby shoe, very simple shoe. If you look at it, there's not much going on, so it's a shoe that you can pretty much use universally across your clothing styles, because one of the things of simple shoes is it makes them very versatile, and in this instance an extremely versatile colour in a burgundy as well. Of course, burgundy, again, something you can wear with a variety of different colours of clothing. So with this rather simple plain fronted shoe, what you get is exactly what you see. I believe we've got a day-night sole on this shoe, so good for winter wear. That rubber composite means you get good traction, non-slip on wet pavements. But yeah, a classic, beautiful shoe. And again, because of the styling, because of the colour, this is something you can wear with your jeans. Right? If you're a jeans-wearing gentleman, it's something you can wear with possibly even your finest suit. Lots of breadth of wearability with a shoe like this. If you were to buy this today from the Crockett & Jones collection, £565. So, you know, within Crockett & Jones, it's one of their more approachable price points. Now, an interesting one. This is a shoe which has been retailed by a high-end retailer in Austria, I believe, called Altwin. And it's a shoe company, it's a gentleman's outfitters, I think, or outfitters generally, which provides obviously a full range of clothing for a chap. What they have done, though, in order that they can sell shoes using their brand identity in their store, they have commissioned a shoe company with a great reputation, and in this instance it's Crockett & Jones, to make a number of shoes for them, which they have then subsequently badged up with their own company identity. So this is what they call the Altwin London plain toe derby suede shoe, right? But it's actually a Crockett & Jones shoe. So Crockett & Jones have made them, they've put the Altwin identity on them, shipped them over to Austria, and they've been sold in the store. Quite often you will find that these shoes can be achieved at a cheaper price than the originating factory's price for you know, reasonably similar shoe, because of that identity difference. But yeah, a classic, very similar to the shoe that we just saw, that Ashdown, a plain fronted derby in a dark brown suede, even more versatile dark brown suede. In a way, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily wear suede with a fine suit, but I would wear it with pretty much every form of casual clothing, from a blazer and slacks down to jeans. The only area I would fall short with this would be, you know, maybe, you know, your fanciest suits. But a very classic shoe, very wearable, very attractive. I think it's got a day-night sole, most likely. So again, extremely flexible in one's wardrobe. Moving on, TLB Mallorca, Spanish company, obviously, from the island of Mallorca, who make a good variety of Goodyear and I believe Blake stitched footwear. And what they are good at is providing shoes at a fairly approachable price as well. We're not talking Northamptonshire shoe prices, they're a tier below. The TLB Mallorca penny loafer, Wayne number 2 model, would cost you €386 if you were to buy this from TLB Mallorca. What it is, in essence, is a round toe penny loafer. Penny loafer, you will notice that strap, which is at the top of the apron at the front of the shoe. It has a slot in it. In years gone by, it is said people would put their pennies in there for safekeeping. Hence the shoe became known as a penny loafer. Probably the most popular style of loafer which is widely available today. These shoes, yep, it's your pretty standard. You recognize this shoe, characteristic standard loafer, box calf leather in black. I'm not a big fan of loafers personally. I just don't like the insecurity of having a shoe which is held on the foot by gravity and friction alone. So I much prefer a shoe with laces for dynamic activity. And loafers in black, bit of a strange relationship there. For me, a loafer is a casual shoe, right? It's not something I would wear with a suit or my most formal attire. And black is a colour which I associate with my most formal attire. My best suits, my most formal situations I would attend. So having a loafer casual shoe in black formal colour is kind of incongruous. It's going to have, I would have difficulty in finding situations to wear this within my life. I would prefer this shoe in a burgundy or a brown because it would make it much more flexible. You could then wear this with jeans even. You could wear it with chinos. You could wear it with, cavalry twill trousers. But being black, that extra level of formality which is lent by the colour makes it harder to wear, in my opinion. But there we go. It's a nice shoe, it's an approachable price. Moving on, we get a boot, our first boot of the collection. We have a look, and it is the Bedale. When I first saw this, I thought it was the Burford. I'm a bit of a fan of the Look collection, but it's the Bedale apparently. And it is a Brogue boot, country Brogue boot, derby style. It's from the Look 1880 collection. Still in the collection today. If you were to track this one down, £329 from Loak. Never forget, Loak always offer lots of deals. Look on their website, chase the best price. If you've ever served in the military, Loak do a discount, 10% discount for ex-military people. I contacted them a while ago. I was interested in buying a pair of shoes. I asked them if they did a veterans discount. They sent me a discount code for I think it was 10 or 15% off. So if you're thinking about buying a pair of shoes or boots from Loak, chase down a discount. If you're serving or veteran military, they will give you a deal. So, as I say, Brogue derby boot, Goodyear welted, clearly like everything more or less we've seen today. This one has the Victory sole rather than a day, night or a commando. Victory sole is just another shape of the material underneath. It's basically a thick rubber sole. I got a buddy who owns a pair of these. He absolutely loves them. They come in a variety of different colours and, browns, blacks and a sort of a grained leather. They're very much a country boot. They're very attractive. I like them. They're a good approachable price. They're G fitting, so quite wide fitting. Loak, when they make these, they know most men are going to wear them in a colder time of year where you're likely to wear a thicker sock. So they build that into the last. They know that there's going to be a bit more room required because your hosiery, your sock wear, is going to be thicker. So that's considered in the construction process, which is nice to know. Good colour. I own a pair of boots. In fact, I own a pair of Loak Burfords in the same colour, and it patinas beautifully. The more you put into them in polishing and the like, the better coloration they obtain. Classic. It's a Loak 1880. I just linger on the Loak 1880 because 1880, it was the year of the company's creation. But it's also their top tier brand. All right, so Loak has a number of different tiers of shoe production. I think their bottom two tiers are manufactured in India, fully in India. Their top two tiers, even part of those are manufactured in India in Loak's factories and sent back to the UK for finishing, I believe. But you have to, in my opinion, if you're looking for a good quality shoe or boot, Loak 1880 model is the only one to go. I wouldn't even bother going to their partially made or even wholly made overseas. Go with the Loak 1880, you won't be disappointed. It's a good boot for a good price. Okay, another pair of shoes, going back to casual. Again, a plain fronted derby shoe. This is the Crockett & Jones Nuki. This would, well, I believe this is between £500 and £600 if we were to be purchased today at new. It's a 3-eyelet derby shoe, soft suede, unlined I believe, so one might say this is more of a summer shoe. Blue suede, Elvis would like these. Rubber city soles, so good for walking around all day, very comfortable. It's from the men's main collection of Loke. Yeah, pretty good. It's a wholly casual shoe. I can tell that immediately by the fact that the soles are a lighter colour than the upper. Generally speaking, if there's a delineation in colour between the sole and the upper, it immediately propels it into the more casual category. And in this case, the soles are a lighter colour, as you can see, a light, sort of almost an unfinished leather, with the upper being the navy colour. Again, a shoe that you can wear quite universally, chinos, denim jeans, you name it. Definitely not for suiting or other more formal attire. You might just get away with it if you're wearing grey flannel slacks and a blazer, if it's a more informal event, but truly I would say this is a casual shoe. But a nice one, quite flexibly wearable. Charles Towett. Now Charles Towett has become a sort of leviathan of the gentleman's slightly more formal clothing category here in the UK. In years gone by, there were other companies like Austin Reed, to think of one for instance, who were gentlemen's outfitters, and you could go there for a shirt, a suit, something like that, and they faded away over the last 10 years. They went bust, disappeared off the high street. Other brands like Jaeger, you know, slightly higher quality, there simply wasn't the demand for them. Now, as they tapered away, Charles Towett came into the marketplace. They had been somewhat known as shirt specialists for a number of years. And slowly and surely, as these other brands disappeared, it became kind of obvious that there was a void in the gentleman's outfitter zone of retail. And I think Charles Towett slowly but surely built their way into that market. They now offer suiting, they now offer pretty much everything that a gentleman may want if you want to up your game a little. I'm not going to say it's high quality, because it isn't. Most of it is made overseas. You know, you're looking at foreign made, China, Portugal, things like that. And you know, their clothing is comparatively lower priced because of that overseas manufacture. But they, like Alt Wien, who we spoke about earlier, they want to have shoes in their shop because they want to have the whole retail experience. A man walks in, I'm getting dressed for a special occasion, I want to be decked out from head to toe. So they're going to want a suit, a tie, you know, the full Monty, shirt, and they also want footwear. Now, Charles Towett, they're not going to go to the trouble of setting up a factory on the other side of the world, so they do exactly what Alt Wien has done and many other manufacturers, from Ralph Lauren to everybody in between, and they go to an existing Northamptonshire shoe manufacturer and they commission footwear which they put their own brand identity on. Now, Charles Towett, they've got varying price points. They've got their Made in England collection, and in this instance, this is what we have here. It's a chucker boot in brown suede, derby, plain fronted, likely made in one of the Northampton companies. I believe this one was made in Loke, so made by Loke. Don't know whether it was made, well, if it's made in England, it's probably an 1880 range boot that's been rebranded as Charles Towett, because it's Goodyear welted, got the slightly squared off toe. It's a Loke boot. So yeah, Charles Towett, they'll be retailing it as a Charles Towett, but it's actually a Loke. Now, if Charles Towett, if they're not made in England, their other shoe collections are most likely made in Portugal or India. So they'll not be badged as made in England. They will likely not be Goodyear welted. They will likely be Blake stitched or even cemented. So if you are a considerate buyer, if you want to, you know, put thought into what you're buying, ask, look at the shoe. If it says made in England on it, it's almost certainly made in Northampton, and it's been commissioned from most likely Sanders, Crockett & Jones or Loke, one of the companies which does a lot of commissioning. Good to know. Ask the sales agent who made these shoes before you start investing your money. But it's a nice boot. Brown suede, very practical. I'm wearing a pair of suede desert boots right now because they're so versatile. I like them. These are good. We're back to our good friend Trickers, another Borton, showing the versatility of the range. Again, this would be £565 if purchased, but it's a black manufacturer. I think it's black. It says that Petru has said it's brawn, so it could be brown, but it looks black in the image. It could be a very dark brown. But yeah, as I said earlier, a very versatile, flexible country come town shoe. More country than town, I would say. It's a big, clumpy brogue, which is ideal for, you know, thrashing your way through the undergrowth. They're waterproof. The bellows of the tongue are sewn in. They've got a really good solid storm welt around the outside of the where the sole is stitched to the upper. This is a shoe which will last a lifetime, and it can take on the elements. And in a darker colour, it makes it a bit more formal. So yeah, nice all-action country boot. I think this is our last one, and we finish back in Austria, where of course Petru comes from. And it is an Altvane shoe again. This is called a Golf, and I believe this was also made by Crockett & Jones for Altvane, who obviously commissioned a pile of shoes from Crockett & Jones. And it is a split-toe derby in a beautiful, I would say a burgundy colour. Burgundy, nicely patinaed colour. The split-toe derby relates to the way the toe cap is finished. You will notice that there's the seam is at the centre of the toe box, hence a split toe, and a derby because of the lacing system. Lacing is made up of 2 flaps, that's a derby, opposed to the laces being part of the integral manufacture of the shoe, which would make it an Oxford. Lovely burgundy colour, lovely casual shoe if you want to look smarter when you're wearing perhaps your more casual clothing. For me, this is a shoe that I would wear right up to grey flannel slacks and a blazer. Probably wouldn't wear this with a suit, but everything other than a suit, this is fair game. Lovely colour. I can tell just by looking at this, this is going to go on a great colour journey as it patinas over the years ahead. And that was an amazing collection of a wide variety of footwear. Now the question lies with me, what do I recommend that Petru adds into his collection? And I notice he has lots of shoes which are plain fronted derbies. He only has, that we've seen today, 1 pair of boots, that Brogue boots by Loke, the B-Dales. What I'm going to recommend is a kind of halfway house between the boots and the shoes which he so obviously loves wearing, those plain fronted derbies. A chucker boot. Now a chucker boot, of course, can be very casual. It can also cross the boundaries and be a little bit more formal. Now I like chucker boots. I'm wearing a pair now. This last year I've bought a pair of Sanders. They're high top boots, which are a crepe soled suede boot, plain fronted. That has been without doubt the most comfortable pair of desert boots. I've got them on now. Comfortable pair of desert boots that I have ever worn. It is like walking around on a slightly spongy cloud all day long. And as Petru said, he suffers with discomfort with sensitive skin on his feet. I'm going to say consider a pair of the Sanders high tops. It could take your comfort to a whole new level, yet still retaining an element of smartness. I mean, let's be honest, James Bond wears these boots. Steve McQueen wore these boots in the heyday of men's style. These are boots which are around about £260, but they are so comfortable. It is an eye-opener. I'm certainly going to be buying more pairs of these. So consider that. You've got quite formal, lots of shoes which are, rigid soles. Try a crepe sole. Try a Sanders high top. It'll take you to a new level of comfort and also a versatile style level as well. So there we go. Thank you so much, Petru, for sending in the images of your shoes. Inspired all of us, actually, I think, to see what we can get out there from eBay at very approachable prices, nowhere near those original retail prices. Bargains are to be had. And thank you for sending the images in. If you'd like to follow on from Petru and send me some images of your shoe collection, send me some great quality, high quality images of your shoes, and you'll see them reviewed here by me in the future. I'd love to see what you've got and share it with others to inspire and motivate them on their journey to Chap Nirvana. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, thumbs up, subscribe for more. If you want to join me on my journey and see a lot more of the behind the scenes life of my chap's journey, you can become a patron. The link's in the show notes below. Extra videos every week and lots of banter as well. So, until then, the next time we meet, put your best foot forward in a great pair of shoes, and I'll see you soon.